Hey guys, what's up? Hope everyone's doing well. Just had lunch. Hope all of you have had your lunch as well. Keeping safe and healthy. Hello, Caro. Hello to everyone who's joined. Ian Chappell should be with us any minute. It's taken me a little while to just make sure that his Instagram is in order. It's the same account again. Hi, Sam. Hope you're well, my man. Hope your family is doing well in Bangladesh. Excited myself, yeah. We did a test yesterday with Chappell. It took a little while, but he was a real champion. Got through it. So, good afternoon to Rahul. It's been years since we've seen Chappell on screen, yeah. Well, he's had a tough year or so, but he's well and healthy. So you'll all hear from him just very shortly. I've taken a number of your questions, and yeah, I think we're already ready. So I think Chappell's figured this out. So let's get him right away. Right. Gives you the request. Just accept it. Let's have a look. Let's hope he's joined. Yeah, well done, Chappell. That's it.
Oh, Jesus. Amazing. Amazing.
It's a new world, isn't it?
Yes, it is different for an old so-and-so like me, Raunak, yeah.
But you're not bad, I must say. You're better than Rahul already, because he couldn't figure this out by, for the life of him. Mikey managed it. I'm guessing he had help with Lauria, and you've done this all on your own.
Yeah. Anyhow, we've made it, mate.
Well, it's so good to see you, Chappell, first and foremost. And I've already been asked a lot of questions on how is Ian Chappell doing. So let's answer that first. How are you doing, Chappell? You keeping well?
Yeah. Nearly had enough of the isolation, but I've kept reasonably well. I haven't become any more insane than I was before this thing started. Yeah.
And I must ask, I did ask Mikey what the lockdown has taught him. We're all trying to develop new skills and whatnot. Mikey said he's been working on his cooking. Any such added skills to you? Have you improved your cooking or anything else in this lockdown?
No, I'm not likely to improve my cooking because I'm one of those people who, I can't stand there and wait for the food to be ready. I like, okay, I'm ready for food. Let's get into it and eat. So boiled eggs, that's about as good as I can do, I think. Maybe baked beans on toast, I might be able to get that done. But other than that, no. So really, I haven't gathered any new skills. I've been I'm sick of practicing snooker. I'm ready to play against somebody. I've just got to find someone to play.
Yeah, I remember the time you were in Bangalore and we set you up with Pankaj Advani for snooker. And I don't think you expected that level of competition at the time. You were a bit taken aback by what Gaurav and the rest of the guys managed to do for you.
Well, I became very good at picking balls out of pockets. Because that's all I did. I didn't get to the table too often. That's way beyond my level, that one.
And I remember the same thing which we'd done in Mumbai a couple of years later, and at the Goregaon Sports Club, they put up this huge poster to welcome you. It was like the Prime Minister was arriving in the club, and then you had an entourage of about 8 to 10 people that escorted you to the snooker room. I mean, they would have just let you put everything in for fun. You had people to put the balls out of the pockets on that occasion.
Yes, that was. People have been very good to me. Particularly those two that you mentioned in Bangalore. The people there were terrific. And then the Garagal Sports Club. They just welcome you with open arms. So, and it's good when you're looking to fill in a few hours during the day. I quite like practicing snooker, but when you've been practicing for a month and you haven't played any games, it's time to have a match against someone.
Oh, well, I can imagine. I think you're raring to go. So you've got a snooker table at home, is it? Is that what keeps you busy this time?
In the apartments, yes. Yeah, there's a pool. So I walk in the pool. Everybody else thinks the water's too cold. So I've got the pool. I've got the pool to myself. And for some reason or other, the guys that normally play snooker, they seem to be worried about playing in this, while the pandemic's on. So I've got the table to myself, which I'd prefer to have someone to play against.
You're building up your game now. People are probably going to expect your game's going to be at a higher level once this pandemic's done. You're putting a little bit of pressure on yourself.
I think I'm overcooked, Raunak. You can practice too much.
It's curious because I know a lot of cricketers love golf. I don't take you as one of the big golfers, but you're a big snooker man. So how is it that snooker became such a passion, whereas cricketers tend to jump towards the golf course even while they're playing, let alone after?
Well, I played a lot of golf when I was playing cricket. I was a 7 handicapper for not the whole time I played cricket, but certainly the last few years. But when I moved from Adelaide to Sydney, I used to practice and play a lot in Adelaide. When I moved to Sydney, I was starting a new career in television. So that was 6 days a week television, trying to learn the business. And I didn't. And the thing about playing golf in Sydney, it's a full day's exercise. By the time you drive somewhere, then drive back, and because I wasn't practicing wasn't practicing much, but I still expected to play like I had in Adelaide, and my anger gets the better of me, and anger's not a good thing in golf. So eventually I just got sick of it and I gave it away because I wasn't enjoying it. I was playing a lot of tennis at that stage, and I was enjoying the tennis, not enjoying the golf. So the golf got the Spanish archer, the elbow.
Did golf make you angrier than cricket did?
Oh, well, I knew what I was doing at cricket. I've got a very quick temper, but it doesn't last long. If I swear, or I might I'd kick the golf bag or something like that, gets rid of my anger, and then I'm fine. But the thing about golf is you get angry because you played a bad shot, and then you tend to play another bad one because you're angry, and then you get more angry. And so I guess what I'm saying is I didn't have a great temperament for golf. My temperament was okay for cricket, but as I say, it helped that I knew what I was doing at cricket. I wasn't so sure of what I was doing at golf.
All right, and on that, let's take some viewer questions. We've got quite a few of us watching. Isam, our Bangladesh correspondent, is watching this and enjoying it. He says, does captaincy make cricket more unique as a sport, Chappell?
Well, I guess it's one of the few sports where the captain really is in charge. You can be captain of any of the football codes, and they're basically run from off the field. Baseball, which is another sport I played and I follow very closely, a lot of baseball is run from off the field. Some teams have a captain, some don't. But the captain, whilst he might play a leadership role, he doesn't have the input into tactics that a cricket captain has. And all this rubbish about, coaches, you know what my feeling's like on international coaches. But you see, the reason why the captain's got to run the show is because by the time a captain gets a message from off the field, it's too late. Richie Benaud always used to say, as a captain, you have to be 2 overs ahead of the game. And if you're not 2 overs ahead of the game, you're behind the game. So if you're waiting for someone off the field to tell you what to do, then really what it means is they've appointed the wrong bloke as captain. So I think that's one of the interesting things about captaincy at cricket. You are really the man in charge. But there's 2 parts to cricket captaincy. There's the captaincy, which is on the field, changing bowlers, moving the field around, placing the batting order, all stuff that's pretty well common sense as long as you've got a decent cricket knowledge. But then there's the off-field part of it, which is the leadership part. And I always felt that the time that you could spend with your players off the field, the more you got to know about them, you were going to reap the rewards for spending that time. You would reap those rewards on the field. Sure. So it's, for instance, I'll take 2 recent Australian captains, Michael Clarke and Mark Taylor. Now, I think they were about on a par tactically and psychologically on the field. But Mark Taylor was a better leader off the field than Michael Clarke. So whilst I had great admiration for Michael as a tactician and, a strategist, I thought Mark Taylor was a better captain because he was the all-round package.
All right, brilliant. You know, there's one of my mates who's part of my cricket team watching this saying, this is some great tips for you, Raunak, for our next tournament. He's obviously taking the piss because I captain my team. I'm not sure much of your advice is going to do me any good, Chappell, but I could make the team as a captain, and you're a big fan of that, aren't you? You don't need to be good enough to be in the 11. If you're captain, you can walk in, just like George Bailey did, or I might in my team.
Well, I like the Australian system best, where they pick the best 11, and then out of that 11, they pick the guy who they think is best to captain the side. England tend to do that now, but there was a time when England would pick their captain first and then the other 10 players. And England have had some captains who really weren't good enough as a player to be in the Test side. I'm talking Test cricket.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't like that system because, to me, it's hard enough to win when you're playing 11 versus 11. But when you're playing 10 versus 11, then I don't like your odds at all. So that's why I prefer the Australian system.
All right. I'd never make a team if I had to go by that, Chappell, but that's okay. I'll stick to your tactics for just international cricket. That's your advice for Test cricket only. This is from Amit. Who was the most difficult character to manage in the team as captain?
Well, I was pretty lucky, really. None of them were really difficult, but we did have a couple that had played a bit of county cricket, and they kept coming to me and saying, "Oh, this is not the way they do it in England." And I said, "You're right, it's not, and there's a good reason for that. We're Australians, and we're going to play like Australians, not like Englishmen." And I had a bit of trouble convincing them that playing the Australian way was better than playing the English way. One of the two did come to me in recent times, well after we'd both retired, and he did say, "You were right to be playing the Australian way and not the English way." Doug Walters, he wasn't difficult to handle, but he was a bloody pest. I wasn't into making speeches as a captain because I don't think it has a great effect. Not a positive. Every now and again, there's a time when it's right to say something, and I always felt that if I didn't say a lot and then suddenly I said, "Boys, just before we go out, I just want to say this," my feeling was that they would say, "Oh, he doesn't normally make a speech. This must be important," and they would listen. But if you're making speeches all the time, I know how I'd feel. It's in this ear and straight out that one. You get sick of that. But anyhow, the start of the tour, this was my first tour as captain of Australia. It was England. It was, we were there for 5.5 months. So I thought I'd better say something and set a few ground rules and so on. Anyhow, right near the end of it, I said, "Look, what I don't want is 4 guys over in that corner whispering and 4 guys in this corner over here whispering." I said, "If you've got a problem, come and see me." I said, "My door is always open." And I looked down in front of me, and there's Walters with a beer in his hand and a bloody cigarette going. And the smile comes on his face. And I thought, "Ian, that is the dumbest thing you have ever said." And so I said, "Look, I'll rephrase that. My door is open till 3 o'clock in the morning, and after that, I'd like to get some sleep." And I wouldn't know how many times when I toured with Walters when you get the knock on the door and it'd be 5 to 3, and he'd come in but I've also said that I would have hated to tour without Doug Walters, not just because he was a match-winning cricketer, but also what he did for the team, because with all of his hijinks and everything, he kept the team loose. And when you're away for 5.5 months, you can go a bit stir crazy, and you need someone to keep the dressing room loose. And Doug Walters, with all his antics and with all his magic tricks, he used to do that very well.
The amount of times I've heard a good story of Doug Walters from you, Chappell, and I've in fact even mentioned that. In fact, in this day and age, have you ever heard the term bromance? You heard the term bromance?
Bromance, yeah, yes, I have heard it, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what I'd call the what you've got for Dougie Walters, this bromance going. speak of him fondly. I'm sure he got onto your nerves, but now when you think of him, there's just a lot of love.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was one of my favourite teammates. The thing about Doug was that he would drive you to the point where you either burst out laughing or you wanted to punch his lights out. And fortunately, cricketers aren't fighters, so you'd finish up laughing. And that was his whole objective, to get you laughing and relax you a bit. He was two things. He had a comedian's timing. He could, if he saw something that he thought was funny, or if he had a trick to play, he would wait for just the perfect time. Whereas if I hear a joke or I see something funny, I've got to tell someone straight away. Whereas Doug could wait for years, and boom, he would produce it just at the right time. And the other thing was he knew his teammates well, and he knew when somebody was a bit uptight. I mean, there's a wonderful story. This was after I'd retired. Greg was captain, and they went to New Zealand in 76, 7. And Doug was on to Kerry O'Keefe. Kerry O'Keefe and Doug both played for New South Wales. And Doug had been at him, come out drinking with us, Kerry. You're too uptight. And Kerry was a leg spinner. And he said, if you're uptight, your wrist will be tight and you won't be able to spin the ball as much. Come and have a few beers, you'll relax and you'll spin the ball more. And Kerry, no, I'm not going out drinking with you. Anyhow, Doug's out till 4 a.m, the night before the test match. At stumps after the first day's play, Doug's 112 not out. And Kerry's in, I think, he's in next or the one after that. And that night, Doug's drinking till 4 o'clock again. And he makes his highest ever test score. He gets 251, his highest ever test score. Kerry O'Keefe got out for a duck. And when Doug came back in the dressing room, he just walked quietly as he walked in, put his bat down, took his gloves off, and he turned to Kerry O'Keefe. He said, see, I told you should have come out drinking with us.
No, I mean, the story of Doug Walters, for those that don't follow cricket and watching us right now, his record is phenomenal. I mean, you almost tend to think with bat, with ball, brilliant in the field, and yet his story, like Chappell says, is one of someone who didn't conform to the normal. He didn't train the hours that other players did. He enjoyed his drink. He almost hated the fall of a wicket because it interrupted his bloody card games. I'm trying to think of how Doug Walters would have done in this day and age, social media. Imagine Doug Walters before a big game, someone catches him at the pub at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., or he's not training as much as the other guys. Do you think he would have survived? Has cricket lost those characters today, Chappell?
Oh, he'd have found a way. I mean, he was too good a player. I mean, he averaged 48 in Test cricket. Yeah. I mean, three times he made a century in a session in Test cricket. I mean, it's very rarely done that. And he won us matches. And the reason why he was so good and won you matches, he would come in at 6, and I batted him specifically at 6 because he was one of those guys who could sit around. A lot of players can't sit around. They like to, get out there early. And if they've got to sit around for a few hours, it drives them mad. But Doug, as you say, he would play cards. To be fair to Doug, once he put the pads on, so if he's next in, once he put the pads on, he didn't play cards anymore. Yeah. And the other thing I'll say about him, even when he was playing cards, he knew exactly what was going on in the game. If you'd have gone to him and said, who's bowling, what do you think he would have been able to tell you exactly what was going on. So and he had a very, very shrewd cricket brain. But, the thing about Doug was that he just had that ability to be able to do that, stay up late, not just drink, but I mean, he was having 80 cigarettes a day while he was at it as well. He was just, well, he's a freak. I mean, I reckon they broke the mould when Doug was made, and you would see the young guys come into the team on a tour, and you'd know what was going to happen, but you'd just sit back and let it happen. You'd see the young guy, he's out the first night with Doug Walters, you see. And the next morning you'd be in the dressing room and the bloke's shot. And I'd quietly go over and say to the guy, listen, mate, if you think you can stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning and drink and smoke and average 48 in Test cricket, well, you keep doing it. But I happen to think that little so-and-so over there is the only bloke who can do it. You're probably better off going to bed before midnight. So, but you had to let the young blokes find out that there was only one Doug Walters.
Yeah, what I'd give to see a Doug Walters in this day and age, but that's terrific. And now reacting to some of your comments on captaincy, we've got a few questions coming in. Your thing on pick the best team and then make the best bloke captain. Lots of things on by that logic. How does Tim Paine become captain? Quite a few people asking. I think Tim Paine's done a decent job at a tough time. There's also a similar question on Steve Smith now from Shrutika, saying that the Aussie side, of course, he's eligible to captain now that his captaincy ban or leadership ban is over. Do you think that they should look at Steve Smith, especially given Tim Paine has done a pretty good job in the interim? Your thoughts, Chappell?
Well, whoever said, Tim Paine had earned his place in the side. He was in the team when he became captain. I mean, that's the point I was making. You've got to be good enough to get in the 11, and then they pick a guy who they think is the best captain from that 11. So Tim Paine earned his place in the side, and you're quite right. I think he's done a terrific job in very difficult circumstances. And not only has he been able to win as a captain of Australia, but they're also playing a brand of cricket that I think Australians are once again, they're proud of their team. Whereas in the lead up to the Newlands fiasco, I think a lot of Australians were disillusioned by the behaviour of the Australian cricket team. So I think Tim Paine's done a terrific job. Will Steve Smith get the job again? Well, I'm not sure how long Tim Paine will go with the job. In my opinion, he's got it for as long as he wants it. But the problem Tim's got is he's had a couple of pretty serious finger injuries, and he's had big operations on his fingers. And as a wicketkeeper, he only needs to get a bad knock on one of those fingers again, and he could be out of the game for a while, injured. So then you're looking at another captain. At the moment, of the younger guys, I don't really see anyone. Travis Head has done a bit of captaining of South Australia, but Travis Head hasn't cemented his place in the Australian team yet. So that probably means that if Tim Paine were to get injured in any time soon, then Steve Smith would probably get the job. But I've got a question. Why is Dave Warner banned from all Australian captaincy, and Steve Smith was only banned for 12 months. Now, go back to the situation. Now, Steve Smith's the captain of the Australian team. He walks past Bancroft and Warner doing whatever they're doing, and he just says, I don't want to know what's going on. Well, that's the greatest load of rubbish I've heard in my life. He's the captain of Australia. He's got to know what his team is doing. And if he thinks they're doing something illegal, he's got to stop it. So you either ban Smith and Warner for life from captaincy, or you ban Smith for 12 months and you ban Warner for 12 months. I do not understand the logic of that. To me, the only logical thing behind that is that the Cricket Board, Cricket Australia, wanted to sideline Warner because, in my opinion, Steve Smith was more guilty than Warner. So their punishment to me, at worst, it had to be the same punishment. And I would go on to say that as a captain on the field, tactically and strategically, I think Warner would have been better than Smith because he's a very aggressive thinking cricketer. I've had quite a few chats with him about batting and about the game of cricket, and I like the way he thinks. I think Dave Warner would have made a very good captain.
All right, just taking comments now. And Sambit has joined us. He's watching this as well. And he says, this must count as my greatest achievement to get Rahul, Mikey and Chappell on an InstaLive. You got a word for Sambit? That's all that he thinks I've achieved in 7 years working for him, Chappell.
Is that Sambit Bell, is it?
Yeah.
The boss?
Yeah, he's watching.
Better be kind. You better be kind to the boss, mate. Sambit, good to see you, mate. Always good to see you. And hopefully we get a chance to get a bit closer than this and enjoy a wine together.
Oh, right. That's good. That's all Sambit does these days, Chappell. He's more on his wines and on his farms and actually doing the work. I'm the one doing all the work. But anyway, forget it. Maybe they didn't give David Warner the fair run because of what he's been putting out on social media recently. I just showed you something yesterday, didn't I? Where he swapped outfits with the swimsuit. Any chance we'd ever get to see you do something like that, Chappell? Where swap outfits? It's part of a social challenge.
That's the perfect example of why you shouldn't mess around with social media. I avoid it. I avoid it like the COVID-19, mate.
All right. Now, this is something I do, Chappell, with all my guests. It's a rapid fire. And your answers are anyway rapid, but they've got to be quick. First thing that comes to your mind, whatever it is, right? Even if it gets you into trouble, which
you might be in trouble if I say the first thing that comes to my mind, Raunak.
This is the plus point of social media, Chappell. You can say what you want. It doesn't matter. There are no broadcast guidelines. There's no censorship, nothing. Say whatever you want. You ready?
Right. Yep.
All right. If you weren't a cricketer, what do you think you would have been successful in another field?
Sporting?
The toughest bowler you've ever faced?
No. Sporting.
Right.
Sporting.
Sorry, yeah, sport. I thought you said squash. Yeah. Okay, let's begin.
Baseball.
All right. The toughest bowler you've ever faced?
The best opposition quickies I ever faced, Andy Roberts, John Snow. The hardest to score off, Joel Garner.
Okay. The best captain you played under?
Well, I only played under two Australian captains, Bill Lawry and Bob Simpson, and Bill Lawry was by far the better of the two.
All right. Lilly or Thompson, the harder man to face in the nets?
Oh, Tomo was easy to face in the nets because he just rolled his arm over.
The best sense of humour in cricket, according to you?
Oh, Walters. Guys I played with, I mean, it's hard. You don't know other guys. So Walters are the guys I played with.
All right. Jeff Boycott or Ian Botham, if you had to pick one of them to spend the lockdown with, who would you pick?
Neither.
What could possibly go wrong? The most important lesson about being a commentator, a good commentator, is?
Be yourself and make it like you're talking to one of your mates in the pub without the swearing.
All right. Finest commentator you worked alongside?
Oh, I've worked alongside a lot of good ones. I learned a lot from Richie Beno. Tony Cozy was another very good one. They're probably two of the better ones, yeah.
All right. One fast bowler from an era after you that you would have loved to captain in your team?
Gee whiz. What, Australian or?
Anybody.
Okay. Malcolm Marshall or Wazim Akram?
Right. One food item that you cannot get enough of?
Oh, I'm a Thai food man.
All right. Quick. Now you need to pick MCG or SCG?
Oh, SCG, easy.
Winning in the Caribbean in 73 or winning the Ashes in 75, the sweeter memory for you?
Any win's a good win.
Steve Waugh the captain or Ricky Ponting the captain? I think I know this one.
Ricky Ponting.
Smith or Kohli?
What, is captain or batsman?
You tell me.
I'd take Kohli both ways, captain and batsman.
Beer or wine?
Beer when I was younger, wine now because I got to wake up too often in the night when I drink beer now.
Test cricket with jersey numbers at the back or without?
Doesn't bother me. It's not important. If it's good for the public, then I'm happy with the numbers.
If your producer tells you, Ian, you can't express that opinion on air, your response would be?
Well, I didn't like being told what I could or couldn't say. I preferred it if I stated my opinions, and if they didn't like them, they sacked me.
All right. Complete the following. If Ian Chappell was playing during the IPL era, he would have?
Oh, I don't know. Someone would have to tell me.
Made a lot of money?
Yeah, but money, you know, I didn't this is going to sound strange, but I didn't particularly want to be a professional cricketer.
Why?
Well, I didn't want to be playing all the time. I liked it, you know. When I started, I was playing cricket in the summer, baseball in the winter, and I really liked that.
Right.
I didn't want to be playing 12 months of the year, not cricket. I mean, you know, I didn't want to be playing baseball 12 months of the year either.
Chappell, the best part of being in the IPL era is you can just play 2 months in the year and make all the money you need to.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the problem I would have as a player in T20 cricket is, you know, if I'm going to be, I mean, fielding was great. I love fielding, but if I'm doing a lot of fielding and I'm facing 4 balls as a batsman, then fielding's not so much fun.
Right.
Fielding was good fun if you could do a lot of batting.
All right, carrying this on now, and I think I know this one. The role of a coach in an international team is, complete that.
To drive you around England.
If you ever met the bloke who came up with the idea of putting a camera on a phone, you would?
Throttle him.
First thing I say that comes to your mind. Sorry, first thing that comes to your mind when I say T10.
What is it? T10?
Yeah.
How short do you want to go? I mean, it's ridiculous. 10 overs isn't a cricket match.
Jeff Boycott?
Selfish.
Kerry Packer?
Did a lot of good for the game of cricket.
Michael Holding?
Very fast.
Richard Hadley?
Good bowler.
Spirit of cricket?
Rubbish. Play to the laws, that's all you need to do.
Cricinfo?
Yeah, I get a lot of information from Cricinfo, and I enjoy a lot of the writing. I think Sambit's done a terrific job in trying to get good writers on Cricinfo.
All right, and lastly, me.
Pain in the ass sometimes, but an enjoyable pain in the ass.
Chappell, I couldn't thank you enough. This has been great fun. I'm so glad to see that you're looking good and healthy and you're practicing on your snooker. So good luck with that, mate. And I hope you've enjoyed your InstaLive. Any chance you're going to be back on Instagram to follow people or make friends out here? Have I changed your opinion on social media?
No, you haven't, but it's been good chatting with you, Raunak. It's always good. The good thing about working with you, it's never dull.
All right. Cheers, Chappell. That's the best that I can ask for. Thank you so much. You take care, and we'll catch up again soon.
Okay, look after yourself, mate. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, buddy. So that was Ian Chappell on his InstaLive debut. I hope you enjoyed it. He's such a good storyteller. Maybe some of you who don't follow cricket might have thought that he's going on and on with the story, but for those of you that do follow cricket, you know, there's no better storyteller in the game than Chappell. So yeah, that's the end of another. It's the end of a very fun InstaLive. There's more coming up, so watch out on Insta as well as Twitter if that's your preferred medium. But I will be putting out more. And thanks again for watching. Full video will be out on YouTube soon, and I will share our best bits, of which Chappell has given us plenty. And it's great to see that he's keeping good health. Again, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, and we'll catch up again soon. Bye-bye.